What is up, guys? Cole with TNC Outdoorsman here, bringing you the long-awaited part 2 to the Walmart fly tying video. Today we're changing things up a little bit. We actually left the Walmart scene and went to Michael's Craft Store today. Now, a little bit of a twist on this challenge, like before, trying to keep things low budget. So we went in with a budget of $20 for today's fly tying video, and all of the materials that we picked up were actually selected by Madison. Now, she knows not very much when it comes to fly tying and fly fishing. So, a lot of the materials that she selected were chosen for aesthetic reasons. So, without further ado, let's go over some of her picks. First up, we have this green and blue yarn. So this came from the clearance section. It was 50 cents a piece, so we've got $1 in yarn here. Next up, we have 4 different colors of embroidery floss. We have purple, sort of a mint green color, steel blue, kind of gray color, and lastly, my favorite of the 4, like a holographic white. It's not really showing up too well on camera here, but it's got a holographic sparkle. It's very similar to like the white ice dubbing. I believe Hare's Ear makes that. So I feel like we'll do some cool things with that color there. Next up, we've got some black craft fur. I think this is going to be awesome for some streamers. You guys already know what we're going to do with it. After that, we have some 26 gauge copper wire. It's actually a gold color, so I think it'll look very nice with some of the other materials she's selected for us. And last but certainly not least, I have a bag of beads here, purple beads in all sorts of assorted shapes. Got some smaller ones on the back here, some bigger ones. I think it'll definitely be interesting to see what I can tie with these. So, without further ado, let's get into the actual tying part of the video. Alright guys, so on to our first fly here. I'm utilizing materials from the last challenge with the Walmart materials, as well as just some of my regular fly materials that I have on hand. The goal here isn't necessarily to only use materials from within the challenge, just because I'm not trying to have a guide here on how to tie flies. It's not like that. I'm just looking at cheaper alternative sources for fly tying materials, just to make the hobby a little more open for people who are working on a budget. So this is a Walmart hook. It's a bait holder hook. It's a size 6 Ozark Trail, which I believe is actually Walmart's outdoor brand. So I'm not dealing with anything super high quality, high price here. Just a cheap little bait holder hook. So first thing I'm doing with this white thread, I'm just really trying to lay down a good thread base, just to hide those bait holder barbs that run up the shank of the hook. Don't want them poking through just because they might damage the materials that I'm tying on. So I feel like a good place to start here. I'm going to take this blue yarn and we're going to see if I can tie in like a sucker spawn kind of pattern. So get a little closer into the camera here. I'm going to take my yarn. Actually, before I even take my yarn, I'm going to tie back to the hook shank here, down to the start of the bend in the hook. I'm going to take my yarn, double over, and give it a twist to make a loop like that. Lay that on top of the hook shank, and then take our thread, tie that loop in. Now I'm going to grab both pieces of our yarn, create a little lump. Push that back over the loop that we made. And then tie that in. Same thing, gonna do it again. Brush both of those little lumps back. Push the yarn up to the best of my abilities. Kind of struggling here. Push it back, hold in place, lock it down. And one more time. Little lump. Push it back. And tie that in. So, kind of a good start there, but it's not great, not fantastic. This yarn doesn't play super nice. What I'm actually going to do is to keep things interesting. I didn't give myself enough yarn to work with, so I'm going to take some of this green and actually layer that over top of the blue. So start it like we started the blue. Take it, pinch it together over itself, and then just twist that into a loop. Bring that loop over the top. Tie it in with our thread like so. And then kind of hump up the yarn into a bunch. Tie it in. And I think I can fit one more little bunch here, back behind the eye of the hook. So, one more bunch, right behind the eye of the hook. This side actually came undone. There we go. Capture that in. Cut off this little extra bit here. And then just using some hitch knots to tighten that down, because you'll quickly learn on this channel we do not believe in whip finishing, because that requires a tool. And it's all about minimalism. If you're not challenging yourself, are you even living? Snap that thread off, because we don't use scissors unless necessary. And here we are. Kind of a blue and green sucker spawn. It's not great. This yarn didn't play super nice with me, but a little bit of shaping. And the idea is there. If I can get the camera to focus. Blue and green sucker spawn. And I'm sure if I took my time, practice tying a few more of these with this yarn, it would turn out great. So without further ado, let's move on to another fly. Alrighty guys, so starting with what we'll call the Walmart equivalent of a streamer hook. I have two beads, one white, one red, that I've tied in, and made a little thread dam just to keep those beads from moving back. Now I'm just going to lay down a very loose thread base going all the way back until the point where we reach the bend in the hook. Now I'm going to take this really pretty white holographic embroidery floss, which is kind of coming apart on me. Embroidery floss is meant to do that. You're able to divide it up into its individual strands, which is good for embroidery and not so good for trying to use it like fly tying material. So what I'm going to do is twist the strands together as I wrap from the bend in the hook up towards the eye. And as I twist, that sort of locks those threads together so that they don't come apart on me. And that also makes for a really pretty holographic body. So let's do one more wrap just behind the bead there. And then I'm just going to make some thread wraps and really lock that in. Snip the excess free. Just do sort of double down real quick, just to make sure that really doesn't come undone on me. And now let's start with this black craft fur. Just going to take a little pinch. Take our scissors and snip a little pinch of that craft fur free. We want to make sure that as we lay that on top of the fly, it's going to stay just up on top. So brush it back. Oh, I kind of pulled out some of my strands there. That's okay though. I was tying it a little thick anyway. I think it actually looks a little bit better now that I've kind of sparsed up my hair stack. So continuing to brush it back, lay down some thread just to really lock that in, like so. Now we're going to actually pay a visit to some materials from the Walmart challenge. You may remember this from the original video. We've got my white craft fur. I paid 78 cents for this, and I'm pretty sure the best way to describe it is a literal lifetime supply of craft fur for fly tying. I don't think I will ever tie my way through all of this craft fur. It cost me 78 cents because they charge by the yard, and I did not buy a whole yard because I did not need a whole yard. So same deal. Take it. I'm actually going to divide my little stack that I cut here sort of in half. Pinch the ends, pull it back, and same deal. Tie that in back behind our bead head that we made. Once I got this wrap sort of started tying it in, just gonna brush everything back, pull any loose fibers free. And throwing down some hitches, because like I said, no whip finishing on this channel. As few tools as possible, all hitches all the time. Whips are for suckers. Pull that thread to snap it off. No scissors, because we don't believe in tools. Pull all that thread back, or hair rather, all our faux fur. Blow loose ones free. And here we are. Nice little baitfish streamer. The head's a little rough. Nothing we can't take our scissors and just sort of clean up that way. Just go around the bead head here. Any sort of loose runaway fibers, trim them up. And that is all she wrote. If the camera will focus for me. Got that white and red head, holographic white body, and then the white belly with the black back. Once it gets wet, everything's going to slick down. And that's our little baitfish streamer.